Welcome back. It's not often that we get a love story on Carte Blanche, but this one is rather unusual, and it may leave you asking, has this convicted murderer found the woman of his dreams, or is there a hidden agenda? It's a Friday morning in the southern suburbs of Pretoria, and award-winning photographer Debbie Yazbek is on assignment, taking pictures of a bride-to-be.
I see him as my best friend. I feel safe with him. You know, he's given me a sense of security. I know that he's in prison. And of course, I mean, he loves me more than anything else in the world. The love that he's just something else. Do you like my dress?
Beautiful. Hope you don't mind me walking around the rooms in your dress and not knowing what to do with it.
No, you carry on.
I have it with you in here. Should be here somewhere.
That's fine. You just buff and jive and carry on. It's fine. What is bugging me about this whole thing, this whole day, is that I'm going in and I'm going to get married and yes, my man los ek daar. Do you know what I'm saying? It feels, and it's something that I had to deal with the last few days. And, you know, and I've loved him for so many years. I mean, what is another 9 years going to make? I know that people probably think, oh, this woman has actually lost it. But I'm sure that they probably, my boss said to me, he says, this is a bizarre situation. But I don't care. I will wait.
This is Betsie de Ridder's big day, and as other brides-to-be, she's in a flurry to look as lovely and seductive as possible for her groom-in-waiting. This is Betsie's second marriage, and this time, she says, it's true and everlasting love. At 12 o'clock today, the 48-year-old grandmother will walk through the barricaded doors of Pretoria's central prison and pledge undying love to one of South Africa's most notorious criminals and killers.
Want hy dien op die oomblik live uit. Hy's 'n gevangene. Ja, so hy dien op die oomblik live uit en ek dink alles is normaal. Ek meen daar's 'n pastoor en daar's 'n paar gaste. En hy eet goed en alles. So al ding is dat hy bly daar, jy weet, en ek gaan uit. En ek slaap vanaand alleen, ja. Oh, I'm very happy so far. I don't even know what to think. I'm like, you know, like on another planet, maybe. That's where I am. And so I think he's getting ready at the moment. And I've just said now, all I want to do is I want to be able to blow him away. Do you know, I want to walk in there with he must go, wow, sort of thing, you know.
Waiting in Pretoria's central prison to marry the couple in 3 hours' time is Pastor Philip Creer. He's been a prison pastor for 33 years.
I believe it's real, and I believe that they are, can I say, made for each other in the circumstances in which they find themselves.
The man who Betsie is marrying will send a chill through many a spine and evoke memories of one of apartheid South Africa's most callous murders. Her husband-to-be is none other than Ferdie Barnard, the apartheid assassin and gangster who is currently serving 2 life sentences in Pretoria Central. Author and journalist Jacques Poe has written extensively about Ferdie Barnard, and his investigations have assisted in sending the killer to prison. Jacques, in your last book, you say that you had to dig deep into your Oxford thesaurus to find words to describe Barnard. I mean, words like abominable, depraved, offensive, repugnant, repulsive, and many more.
Ferdie Barnard is one of the most notorious killers and gangsters in our criminal history. You know, his name is synonymous with murder, assassination, gangsterism, drugs, prostitution, robbery, theft, name it. Ferdie had done it.
Ferdie Barnard went to prison for the first time in the early 80s when he was a policeman and murdered 2 drug dealers and stole a car. He was convicted of murder and theft, but spent less than 4 years in prison. Now, what happened to Ferdie after he came out of prison in 88?
He almost immediately got back into crime. He committed murder again. He committed assassination. He became a gangster of note. And as I've said before, he ruled the Johannesburg underworld.
Barnard was also recruited into the ranks of a shadowy apartheid death squad that was called the CCB. On the 1st of May 1989, Barnard took a shotgun, drove to the Johannesburg house of anti-apartheid activist David Webster and shot him in cold blood. He committed several other crimes associated with the CCB.
He became one of this country's chief gangsters. He operated from a series of brothels, very heavily involved in drugs. In fact, he became an addict himself. Clubbed to death a fellow gangster with a baseball bat in an alley in Hillbrow. He smuggled, he stole, he robbed.
But the long arm of the law finally caught up with Ferdie Barnard, and in 1997 he was arrested. He was convicted of double murder and 23 additional crimes and sentenced to 2 life imprisonments. 2 years later, he confessed the murder of David Webster before the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. But it was too late for Barnard to get amnesty. He's been in prison now for 11 years and has to serve at least another 9 years before he can apply for parole.
When Ferdie Barnard came in, he was a very rough character. But underneath the roughness, he was also a kind person.
Barnard disappeared from the scene and commenced his life imprisonment in Pretoria's C. Max. About the middle of last year, Jacques Poe received a call from Barnard asking to see him. He wanted to talk to him about the book he had written.
When I arrived at Pretoria Central last year to see Ferdie, I happened to meet Betsie. There was this woman sitting next to him and they were holding hands. And I said to Ferdie, what's going on here? And he introduced me to Betsie, who was his fiancée, and they then told me that they're deeply in love and that they want to get married.
It's nothing really unusual for women to fall in love with prisoners, even hardened criminals like Ferdie Barnard. In countries like the United States and the UK, some prisoners have access to the internet, and there are tens of websites where prisoners advertise themselves and women can link up with them, like this one. This is Free Bronson, the website for Charles Bronson, who's been behind bars for 27 years for a long list of crimes. It's got Charlie's friends. There's Joyce Connor, and he says, Joyce to me is a breath of fresh air, a dream all wrapped up in ice cream, a bear let loose in a cake shop.
Yes, shame. And listen, and what I want to ask you, and the cakes, how did you put them out? But does it look, it does look like a place where there's going to be a wedding. Oh, okay, all right.
We asked Johannesburg psychologist Dr. Ian Opperman why women fall in love with criminals.
There are many reasons. I'm going to start with the first one. The first one is a rescue fantasy, that people believe that they and they alone can go in there and change this person that's a bad boy, that's done these horrid things, that's taken a baseball bat or a knife and stabbed or beat somebody to death, or a pedophile or whatever the case might be. And that they can go in there and through the magnetism and the power of their personality, they can go ahead and change this person's life.
University of Pretoria criminologist Dr. Christian Besaitnout has done extensive research on the subject. What is in it for Betsie?
Well, she's getting emotional satisfaction. She's getting everything she wants, letters, love, praise. I think there's a lot in it for her as a person.
I actually can't believe this is happening. I'm telling you. Ek wil nie ek het tot die cleavage probeer toemaak. Al wat ek nodig het, dat die man se bloeddruk opgejaag word daarso. Can't control it then. Hoe lyk daar een is nou kort. Ferdie wanted a ring, he wanted that. So it just now confirms to me that this man has changed, that the person that Ferdie Barnard used to be, wasn't really Ferdie. The man that I love, the man that I'm going to today is the Ferdie Barnard.
Betsie de Ridder is a mother of 3 and also a grandmother. She holds a university degree in psychology and is the human resources manager of a big Johannesburg company. She was married once before, but was divorced in 1993. How did the two of them meet in the first place?
In 1988, shortly after Barnard was released from his first stint in prison, and she was at work, somebody came to fetch something, she walked with this person to the car, Ferdie Barnard was sitting in car, and it was a question of, or a matter of, Ferdie, this is Betsie, Betsie, this is Ferdie, and she was introduced to him. She saw him for 20 seconds, she didn't speak to him.
And I said hi, and he said hello, and that was it. And I walked up the steps, and as I saw them drive away, I was looking at the car, and I'm thinking, you know what a man. And that was with a hello, I promise you.
Why, what a man?
Love just comes. And people just fall in love, and I don't think you can always explain the reason. They just fall in love.
In 2000, Ferdie went to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to confess the murder of David Webster and the attempted murder of Dalla Omar. Betsie saw him again. He was on television. Betsie saw him, and she also met a friend at the time, and she said to this friend, "How's Ferdie Barnard, who I had seen 12 years previously?" The friend said to her, "He's in C-Max." She started writing letters.
As I said to you, I wrote for about 6 months. Every week I sent this letter, and this man never even replied. And then one day, out of the blue, I get a call, and then he says, "Oh, would you like to see me?" So I said, "Yes, okay. Love to come and see you."
Betsie keeps a scrapbook of her love affair with Ferdie. It's a testimony of how the affair developed from that first visit in 2000 to their engagement 4 years later, and now the dawning of their big day. We asked actor Marcel van Heerden to read some of Barnard's correspondence to Betsie.
There are other mad girls that also bombard me with letters. One calls herself Noentjie, a chicken farmer from Koster. There's Gerda from Durban, one from Mississippi in America. But when you visited me, I felt as though we clicked. Forget other men and like only me. Then you're on the right road. Love and greetings. Ferdie Barnard.
Another thing that we find is a lot of these women are very much into power. And having somebody in prison, you are in control of the relationship. You decide when you go and visit. If you go and visit that Saturday when it's visiting hours or not, you can skip that Saturday. And he sits there on tenterhooks. He can't come out and visit you.
Then I started getting letters, and a Valentine card, and a birthday card, and the telephone calls became more, and then the half an hour became half an hour every week. And then it just ended up that I was the only one seeing him, because the 4 hours that he had a month, I would then take up all 4 hours.
My beautiful friend, my soulmate, and the bright shining light in this dark, lonely world I'm living in. We might as well both stop wondering what's happening to us. We have no control. Whether we like it or not, it has been decided through a cosmic roll of the dice by the gods that be. So let's relax, sit back, and enjoy the ride.
I mean, isn't it wonderful? And we all suffer with a bit of esteem problems. So isn't it wonderful to have someone consistently and repeatedly, continuously reinforcing the message that you're just the most wonderful person in the world? So they fall in love again with that fantasy of this ideal relationship. I mean, this is why we get married. We want that relationship like that.
And I suppose for anybody behind bars, it's just a wonderful feeling of being loved.
Being loved, somebody that's out there really caring for you, I think it's something to hold on to.
Has he ever kissed you? Have you been able to
Yes.
Tell me about the first time.
Oh no, you can't do.
I think it's
The first time, the first 5 years, the first 4 years, I'd go in C-Max and we'd hug one another, and just like a pick, okay. Then when he was transferred to Central, there where he is now, there's contact visits now, like the real contact thing. So that was the first time, I think, was on the 28th of November 2005.
I've come to the point in my imprisonment where I can feel myself sliding unstoppable towards a big dark hole into the abyss. You have saved me. You have become my anchor and my lifeline. I need you like a desert flower waiting for those first raindrops to fall. You have become my life, All my love, Ferdie Barnard.
Just how difficult was it for the two of them to get married?
Betsie was so obsessed in marrying Ferdie, in getting Ferdie, in tying the knot, that she, in the end, launched a High Court application in order to force correctional services to grant them permission.
The marriage of Ferdie and Betsie takes place as the killer is about to apply for a presidential pardon for politically motivated crimes. So it raises the question, is this true love, or is it just a marriage of convenience in order to create the right image for an early release?
He perceives himself to be a political prisoner. And Betsie also says that Ferdie is a political prisoner. But we must remember that only one of the murders that he had been convicted of was political, the one of David Webster.
It's the 30th of November 2007, and Betsie de Ridder and Ferdie Barnard are finally tying the knot. It is in many ways a bitterly lonely day for Betsie, and none of her 3 children, for example, are attending the wedding. They just can't face up to their mother's new husband.
I'm a mom, and I'm a grandma, and yes, I would have wanted them there today, most definitely, all of them. All, 3 of them, I would have wanted them there, yeah.
That's where I usually visit Ferdie and see, so there were that
In the end, it was up to photographer Debbie Yazbek to drive the bride to prison. Apartheid killer Eugene de Kock would have been Ferdie's best man. And even Jacques Poe, the journalist who exposed Barnard, was invited to witness the exchange of vows. In the end, correctional services banned both de Kock and Poe from the ceremony.
You are my love, my life, and my universe. You are to me the most precious and rarest of diamonds that this world has ever seen. The love that I have for you is no ordinary love, but a burning, smouldering, eternal love. All my love and kisses, Ferdie.
I have conducted weddings, and not one of the weddings I conducted in a correctional center has broken down.
When I walked in, I saw him and, oh my God, he looked so beautiful. And I realized there that, Betsie de Ridder, you're not making a mistake. This man loves you because his whole everything, the whole aura, the whole everything was, I love this woman with all my heart. You know what, he stood there like a proud lion. You know that pride, that is what I saw. And he was beautiful. This suit like fits him like a glove. And he's a proud man. And I would shout out to the world, you know what, I married Ferdie Barnard. I'm proud of him. I love him. The man who he is, I love him.
She's becoming known. So suddenly, after you've broadcasted this program, the next day she walks on the street, she's not the same nobody that she's been the day before. She's become somebody suddenly. She's now Mrs. Ferdie Barnard.
They promised love, loyalty, and to be together, and they will never look for divorce.
In the majority of cases, these relationships end up in hardship, it ends up in divorce, or sometimes the worst case scenario, murder again, where the spouse gets murdered by the criminal.
And then he gave me this card. This is his vows to me. And I vow to never ever hurt or betray you. May the full moon be our mystic jewel forever, and we will grow old under its watchful glare together. This is my promise to you, your loving husband, Ferdie.
They're in love with each other, and the Bible says love is stronger than a fire.
And I kissed him goodbye, and he turned around, and I could see that I think he was thinking the same as I was thinking. He was going one way, and I'm going one way. So, but, that's, I don't know, life. I think so.
And what are you going to do tonight?
I don't know. I've got to go and do shopping for him. And I've got to go through tomorrow. I'm going to pick up his suit. It's told me to send it to the dry cleaners and get a proper suit bag. And so, and I'll probably phone my kid and I'll meet her. And then I'm going to go to the grandson's play tonight. So, yeah, that's about it, I think. Yeah.
So there you have it, a touch of romance on Carte Blanche, and after all, it is Valentine's Day on Thursday, in case you've forgotten. In our next story, experience the huge rapids and waterfalls of the Amazon as we join a legendary paddler on his own river of life.